August 1962. Europe is right here. Set free from its orb. And still, there are reserves. Sort of. So previously, the advance into the continent began, continued, persisted. Poland has mostly fallen, and while some parts of the front are holding pretty steady and resilient, others proved more flexible. We have started to extend out and managed to warble away over into mid-Germany, up to Denmark even. And also, short-lived naval operations got us a foothold in Romania. Bulgaria. Bulgaria itself remains neutral. Neutral to friendly. They send their volunteer regiment each year, and it goes somewhere. We left off at a point where we were getting ready to cool off for a moment. Cool off, dig in, recharge. Get ready for the next assault. Also, science is over. Entirely. Completely. There is nothing left to learn. We know everything well enough. We have become custodians of the atom. Apparently, the Greater East Asian Co-Prosperity Sphere still exists, on paper, in Bulgaria. Wild. Anyway, let's continue. Our next operational objectives, other than continuing to leverage our gains in Germany, where we can see at a glance that the German forces are really torn up, low on supplies, low on meat, and we already know France is in a similar situation. We have pushed two of our enemies to the bottom of the barrel. Britain has also barreled, but has not yet spent all of its barrel men. So doing that, and then also would be really nice to get a hold of Hungary. This is one of our main bottlenecks here in the deep post-game. So actually, we don't have enough aluminum to build as many planes as we could and would want to for the ongoing massive, horrific air combat. The air battles, where we push the engine past all of its sensible operating parameters decades ago and are still going. These are more birds than expected. We're also very nearly running the enemy out of birds as well. We've actually cut down most of the Royal Air Force. Who knows? It was also observed that here in the deep post-game, boats are very fake. We built the Black Sea Fleet out of nothing. Sent it out on operations, and then it was annihilated in 10 minutes by a swarm of Allied bombers, even though we were contesting the airspace with thousands of fighters. Boats don't exist. So, our option for dealing with Britain will be paratroopers. We will find somewhere to airdrop in, and we'll be able to get the air superiority we need for it, because the RAF is in the process of slowly dying out. By the time we get there, they should be fully out of planes. Also, in the time that I've spent discussing this, we have 2/3 of an atom ready to go. We make a few atoms. We make them, stockpile them, so that they need never be used. We protect them. Current state of the kill board, 44 million of ours, 80 million of theirs. It's going well. Maybe there's some way we can sneak enough air defense into a fleet that by the time we have to cross the Atlantic, as will be inevitable, be in a position to do something with that. Maybe. Hard to say. We do have a fair number of boats, and it could just as well be that by the time we're going over the Atlantic to take out the great powers leading the Allied forces of Canada, Mexico, and Brazil, there may not be enough birds left to delete navies instantaneously. Boats may resume being real at that time. To be determined. Need more combat data. Fresh orbs, right on schedule. Supply conditions remain excellent. The number is firm. They finally, not quite yet, get rid of all our ordinary close air support planes. There are a few left standing. Tried to send them places they can get their fight on. Maybe out west. Put them work the German theater. And to review and restate. This is being done with pure infantry, wielding pure garbage. We rely on nothing but fighting spirit and our 80-year-old battle rifle. It was good enough for your grandfathers when they died at the start of the war. It's good enough for you. We have infantry, cavalry, and special forces infantry, which is just the relevant special infantries. And we actually pulled the special forces back out of the Eastern Front. The Southern Front. Right, the Mountaineers are up here to lead the attack over the Sudettis. Up onto the plateau. Turns out all the brutal arithmetic warfare simplifies out quite nicely. It's that. This number. If you have it and they don't, you've won. A tiny naval invasion. Canadian commandos snuck past. Oh, I put this on the wrong tile. The city of Hamburg is not where the naval base of Hamburg is. Alright. You're supposed to be over there. Inner stability is continuing to creep up. Ah. We're actually fully blue. We are reasonably stable. We're okay with this. I could suspend the Party Coordination Council. I don't think that will do anything for us. We're just sort of here now. Also, where did I get more green from? We're not advancing anywhere. Can they get built? Repaired? Must have gotten custody of a state. Some bit of wiggle room. And a second landing back here. Larger, but also they've taken no ports. This is toothless. Let's see, what formations do I have sitting around? Looks like I pull the cavalry back. They don't have to be up front.
示。准备完毕，长官。
They don't have a port. Port's over here.
准备完毕，长官。
They've seized an airfield and a local radar. That doesn't really give them anything, though. Yeah, good times when we have 8% battle capacity, and that means we could only last another week under fire. Perilous. How will we manage? I could also take the North Reservists off this line. Things are stable. They can do counter-invasion work. And in fact, they've earned another set of units. We could train those. There's some tangible attempts to counterattack going on here. This is all well and good, according to plan. It's primarily German units fighting us out here. And that's their undoing waiting to happen. That's bringing them closer to their limit.
的，长官。准备完毕，长官。出发。对。
Okay, keep our hold there.
准备完毕，长官。准备。让他们尝尝厉害！ 是的，长官。
Nice to have naval invasions again. They convince the enemy to waste so many lives. It's great. Here they go, slamming into another harbor.
集合！命令！注意！出发！准备。
Although counterattacking is a bit pricey. Might let them have this one. It's not like we're taking Thuringian yet.
准备移动。
And this is hills that they're backing us into. Yeah, I could let that slide. The river we're absolutely going to hold. We're staying there.
有何指示？准备。长官。
It'll give us something to do during the winter, driving back all these invaders. A nice holiday activity. Yeah, things are stable here. We have everything we need to handle this. Hey, could you not drive us away from this river, though? They want to reinforce up there a bit. Assign a couple of reservists to that line. That'll give them what they need. We don't need the Reformer anymore since we're full blue. I guess back to Captain of Industry? Or, at this point, is 5% consumer goods more powerful? We have negative 3% consumer goods. That's unnecessary. What is a consumer good? I've never heard of such a thing. Sounds foolish. Captain of Industry, then. Although we're also done constructing things, so maybe I should just have the workforce? The workhorse? Nice, strong, bureaucratic horse. I was hoping we could have our first lady back, because 5 stability, 5 support, that's pretty good. That was part of our starter lineup. No longer an option. We have all of our perfect infrastructure, all of our airports, all of our defense, many radar. Running out of things to construct. Hold on, though. I don't want them standing there. Prevent that. Reject that. Go ahead and rebut that right away.
장관.
Since we're winning the air war, That might mark the time for another focus shift. Yeah, we have tens of thousands of jet aircraft in reserve while burning at full power. Air production can ease up. So, repair is actually what's especially important for the current state of the front. Everything is under constant fire. We want it regenerating as smoothly as possible. I'm okay with the West Front stabilizing entirely. My next set of attacks I'd love to do would be against Hungary. Towards Hungary. Initially against Czechoslovakia. Until we get through. One of many participants in the war who is completely tapped out. Bulgaria sends yet more volunteers. Bulgaria not yet completely tapped out. Weird. I guess volunteers forces enough of a bottleneck on them for them to keep up when most of their soldiers have to stay at home. The 9 major powers of the Allied forces: Germany, Britain, Czechoslovakia, Spain, Italy, Yugoslavia, Denmark. Okay, Denmark put itself on the list. Denmark is now mandatory. We may as well deal with Denmark. Aerial assault into Denmark could be quite powerful. What with the islands? Apparently, the very tip of Jutland isn't well guarded. And even just a very short hop would let us catch all these fellows at the border. Right, Sweden abandoned neutrality. Sweden is in. Finland has stayed out of this.
出发！准备移动！
The Germans want to keep trading this province back and forth. I'm all for it. Forces them to spend. Even though level fighting like this is affordable. Just like, right there. Less than $1 million a year. 1 million a year. This is somewhat under control.
准备移动！
Yeah, situation's all well and good up here.
继续移动！
South group looking pristine. Do we go for just a gap year? A small vacation from the war.
对，长官。
Now that we're really in the thick of things and have them fighting back.
That sounded much larger than a sewer rat.
Now that we're appropriately reinforced. Because at a bunch of our previous stopping points, the Allies kind of cooled off and stopped trying to retake whatever we were standing on. He had some moves. Now that we're up here, we've really got them mad. They're trying to lay into us more, and that means we get to properly bleed them down. Especially with all the attempts at amphibious assaults.
出发！注意，
Each each of these is a bunch of dead British divisions for free. RAF estimates continue to dwindle. Eventually they'll be out of birds. Then things really get wild. Once we have air superiority over the globe. We have air superiority right now. We don't yet have air supremacy. Air invulnerability. Enemy planes still exist, and are at times permitted to act. We're going to fix that. They're trying. They try so hard. Yeah, the overall pace of having a campaign season each year, that's working out well. That's what our man supply can sustain. Charge up during the winter, attack and seize some specific thing each year in the summer, and every time we go about the cycle again, we end up a bit better off. More men, more material, better positioning. I think the next series of moves... get Hungary. And then from there, we might get an opportunity to disrupt the lines in Romania. Push forward there. This gives us a good measure of how thinly we can stretch the line and still put up an effective defense. By much. Thinking about those numbers. We do need to regulate the size of the front. As much as I think we would actually get away with continuing to attack the rest of the way around, I can believe that the AI will stay absolutely fixated on guarding what's left of Poland. You know, leaving 200 divisions stuffed in the last holdout Polish soil. Reaching France might knock them out of that, though. We should look for an opportunity. Actually, yeah, that's our big operational goal. We get up into the hills, we break through here, and we try to capture all of this. That is millions of Allied soldiers in that pile. Someday we hope for victory over the numbers. The accounting will continue until there is victory. Quick eyeballing count here. 225 Allied divisions in these two provinces. Some of them may have wiggled about while I was taking that total. But, it's not that far to go. We could probably do it for not even 500,000 dead. Why would Hungary do this? And yeah, let's see. Hills, hills, plains. lightly fortified plains. Urban terrain over here, and some woods. But yeah, a corridor of like that and that. Just that 3-province chain that would succeed in quite the move. And then, supposing that's already done, another small offensive could capture even more of the troops left over on this scrap of the German border. Yeah, spring is sprung. Let's get moving. This guy. How do you pronounce that? Well, okay. Oh, that's an R. Alright, the font for the thumbnail here looks very different than the font down on the battle banner. How do you pronounce R with a hat? How long have you been out here, Richard? What have you seen? Have you begun to understand what's at stake here? Venom Rick. Pocket is the favorite fighting shape.
准备完毕，长官。命令，出发。出发。
Alright, some progress over here. That is step 1. Alright, so I want to gently apply the Mountaineers and recklessly apply the regular infantry. Since the special infantry, you know, they have their terrain fighting bonuses, but they lack the doctrine bonuses that our regular troops have for their extreme recovery speed and what have you. Yeah, just occasionally look back to the big picture and make sure nothing catastrophic is occurring. Hey, Memel! There's an actual port.
China.
China. That was an untended harbor that now needs to go get taken back. Or the enemy makes a problem out of it. Now the paratroopers are right there. You go do that. You go put out that fire.
Paratroopers, when they have, you know, supplies, are basically the same as every other trooper.
These are just regular infantry.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Are they just straight up regular infantry, or are they better than regular infantry? Did you accidentally sneak in better equipment on them?
They're using the same thing everyone else. They're saying they're using the only rifle that exists in the world.
Okay. Good. Good. We're just making sure.
Just for a moment here, just to look at the modules side by side then. 38 defense, 40 defense, 5.6 breakthrough, 6 breakthrough, 15 soft attack, 13.8 soft attack. Same heart attack, less supply use on the paratrooper. More organization, more HP, or no. Less HP. Mostly the same. Bring up some additional garrison soldiers to cram into the Western Guard. Shore up those beaches since they're actively under fire.
Did I just see that you can assign a truck to paratroopers?
I could, and it would make them no longer airdrop compatible.
Okay, okay. Whew, alright. So I wanted to make sure that you could not just drop a truck.
You could be an asshole and tell your paratroopers to figure out how to put a rocket truck on a plane. They won't do it.
Right. Right.
You could give them all the equipment for airborne warfare, and then also a heavy tank. A super heavy tank. Keep insisting that, no, you're going to paradrop this mouse into the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
No, maneuvers are underway. For the spring of 63.
The entirety of Eurasia is looking pretty solidly China right now.
Yes, very. And things are holding up alright down here. I brought attention to the estimator here earlier. Don't actually listen to anything it says. Whatever math it does there is so situational as to be meaningless. You can watch an ongoing firefight and see that estimate struggle from less than a day, 2 days, less than a day, 400 days, less than a day, now, yesterday. Now we just need to commit the necessary bodies to do this move. The comparison brought up? Actually, yes, it's much like file transfer speeds, or a bunch of other software things that try to give you an estimate of how long they will take. It's often not possible to actually predict how long an algorithm will take to do its job.
Mm-hmm.
So, any such estimates in progress bars are just theater, there to give you something to stare at while you wait. This will take, at worst, 10,000 years. We know it's faster than that. Usually. I'm just gonna continue to slowly and bloodily wade through these overstuffed provinces till we get what we want. Methods proven during the Afghan campaign. With enough air power and enough land power, just keep pressure and eventually anything will break. Hold on though, why is this dude's battle sprite happening? There's no counter-offensive going on. Is support defense still a thing? Because like, in earlier Hearts of Irons, there were a bunch of additional kinds of combat mission you could put on units when you were doing your all manner of direct manual control. Including like launching support attacks, where you join the fight but don't commit to moving into the target area. So just when the fighting is over, that unit will back off and get to rest. And if the fight resumes, they jump back into it. Or support defense, where you do similar, but on the defense. Your neighbor is under fire, and that unit will kind of slide over and help, but not actually need to move. They took away a lot of the visible UI for that, but I wouldn't be surprised if the functionality was still there. Alright, 2 out of 3. One more target. Alright, it's the remaining complication. We've established our perimeter. There is a city in here for them to draw supply out of, though. They have the barest, tiniest bit of supply capacity from Silesia. So let's push them off of that. So, which lines wound up on the inside? Bunch of North Rose. But not all of North Rose. Or wait, have we actually created our cut yet? Like we have. I don't think there's like diagonal access across those. Captured units have maybe begun to panic. Oh, apply pressure. Air combat. How much air combat is happening in Czechoslovakia right now? Enough. A bit.
Every time that a bunch of planes just fly by and then they all go down in a single contiguous mass, my power grows.
We have mastered formation flying at a level unheard of in prior history. These high-density aerial formations. See, by getting packed tightly together and make sure that even if one plane gets wounded, the momentum of the others will carry it forward with the charge. It stays in the fight.
A level of aeronautic ability unheard of by human beings up till now. Oh god, my shoulders hurt.
You've done powerful things.
6 hours.
For those who have perhaps only viewed this and not received any context, Doc has recently turned to steel.
Yes, I've achieved the iron body technique.
The legend is realized.
I trained under some very powerful Tibetans for whole days.
Go ahead and point one of these armies entirely back to the border to make sure there's no rescue attempts or other breakthroughs. And I'll handle closing that pocket manually. Yeah, Costanza's holding up fine. They're definitely properly cut off. We've got this. The board is about to move. Note the number on the eve of the maneuver. 83.31. And we started this in April. It is only just now getting out of May. And we've secured the city. So even that tiny ray of hope has been
有
snuffed.
指示。出发。有何指示？准备完毕，长官。
And yes, this fresh batch of guardsmen in their entirety just for here. This is now the third or fourth time that we're going to get away with some outlandish damage from the Allied AI very steadfastly committing to putting too many people somewhere and never backing away.
That makes sense.
See, they have studied what's been going on. They've read the letter of our technique, but have no grasp of its spirit.
Oh my god. Everything fucking... All of these birds!
There's a lot of birds. And yeah, as we're going in for the final squeeze here, that is 200, 240, 50, 60, oh, more like 270 divisions that we have captured here in Poland.
That's going to be another, like, 20 million people you're going to be taking out right here, aren't you?
It'll be some. The number is in the process of collapsing now that they have nowhere left to go. Just give them a minute. And there it went. Back to the board. 87.34.
You have...
Just a cool
have-
4 million dead this spring. 2 months.
all of those vanishing all in like a couple of minutes like that when they were all fighting. There's so many.
We
So
outnumber
many
the
deaths.
Allied army again.
Unbelievable. All of it. You outnumber the entire Allied army.
The entire Allied army. All of it.
You're a single country.
We took out like a quarter of the entire Allied army in one maneuver. It's been a good year. That's okay.
It's been alright.
That's performance. You're all meeting expectations. Good job.
Yeah, actually, good question. What portion of the human population of the planet have you killed at this point?
What's world
Even
population in the 40s through
Yeah, it's
60s?
Okay, so 87,000. Sorry, not 87,000. What am I talking? 87 million.
87 million in this war.
Yeah. Of the world in 1960. Let's just say 1960. Okay. In the year 1960, there were about 3 billion people on the world. So you have killed
准备完
about,
毕，长官。
yeah, I want to say, you know, about a fourth of the population of the planet.
And easy follow-up maneuver. Let's capture all of these fellows.
准备完毕，长官。
And yeah, that is in fact just in this war.
That is not included. It greatly dwarfs the first war in scale, but
Yes. You still took out a lot of Japanese soldiers.
we have killed a couple.
集合！
We have killed some, and some.
准备移动。
I'm gonna go out and say that, yeah, you have probably killed about a fourth of the population of the planet over the course of the past, what, 20 years or so now?
Maybe. Maybe.
You've at least put you've at least, according to these numbers here, over the course of a decade, you have put such a significant dent into the population of the planet that you have actually, that the global population over the course of 20 years has dropped rather than increased.
Yeah, this might be a timeline that spared the ravages of global warming just from sheer depopulation.
Well, I mean, but also all of the planes going on in here, like the tremendous amount of extra stuff that you're putting out. I don't know.
Is our Air Force putting out more emissions than a mechanized army of the size that we could field?
You know what? Good point. Well,
10,000
Honestly, planes put out-
jet fighters compared to the, like, we could probably field millions of vehicles.
that's the thing, though. Jet planes put out more emissions than literally anything else we do in a single machine. Like, by a tremendous margin.
Maybe this planet will suffer even more to the ravages of global warming.
Yes. Well, I mean, once we're all China, you're probably going to decommission most of these, and they're not going to be used very often. So,
Maybe.
you know,
Once we have the super highways and the giga railways going to every corner of the planet.
yes.
When we build that transatlantic bridge.
You've still been doing that, right? Putting railways and highways in every single province, basically.
Yes. The front
Yeah.
actually moves slowly enough that we have run out of places to build anything.
Incredible. The more you conquer, the more the incredible infrastructure is moved across it.
Also, we have 35 atom bombs refined and ready to go.
If you wanted to use any.
Just, you know, if.
有何指示？命令！
Just think of
77
how much ground we could clear for railways with an atom bomb.
Yeah, that would not even remotely backfire.
Snap an atom in half. Snap a mountain in half. The atom is the mountain. Yes, the only atom bomb to review in this timeline that was used in anger was the Allies nuked Murmansk while it was under Soviet control.
Right, yeah. Murmansk.
You know, cut off all the shipping that was arriving from no one because Russia was fighting the Allies.
Yeah. Good work, allies.
Like, in the regular war, this was an important place because this is where Lend-Lease shipments would show up during the war months. A lot of equipment entered the Soviet Union through Murmansk.
But they were fighting the Soviet Union.
注意！
Yeah, it was a demonstration. They took their atom bomb they had finished, destroyed an iceberg with it, and then tried to phone up Stalin and convince him that this is what they needed to unite and turn about and defeat us. They were, of course, mistaken. We are stronger than any atom. The only truly indivisible entity is China.
Absolutely.
准备移动。集合！
And of course, I think very high up there of all the strange things that must exist in the mindset of the lore you would build about this campaign is, wait, why are you called Centralist Australia? Fascist Australia is sitting over here, still in the Allies, still fighting us. But
Makes
they have
sense.
brown shifted. But anyway, it's just that America has managed to remain neutral and is playing both sides of this war. How do you think Truman sells that to the population?
They're making bank.
They sell us metal, they sell the Allies guns.
I
They sell
think
the Allies
they'll-
weapons made from material they bought from us.
Yeah. Having lived in the United States, I think the idea that they're just making lots and lots of money off of it is good enough to, you know,
Maybe.
make the population be alright with it, to be honest.
It's a spectator sport.
Yeah.
They are fighting the war by proxy. On the news. They have fantasy leagues of these armies.
Yeah.
American journalists are allowed to travel freely on both sides of the front. Because they're probably convinced that they're safe since they taught us everything we know about warboats. And they still have many more warboats than we do. Auspicious numbers of warboats. Though, of course, if we have learned, boats is fake. Boats were the old meta. Was America's charge shifting? Not much. Seeing like 20% of another ideology. That's not much of a sign of anything in terms of gameplay. That's just election events cause wedges to appear, and they don't have a whole lot of pressure counteracting it, but they do have some natural pressure. Just keep the pressure on. And having done that, and then this follow-up maneuver, we can just go ahead and call that a very successful campaign here.
Yeah.
Didn't go
Seems-
anywhere, didn't have to go anywhere.
Did a good job, though.
A very
Just try to-
productive advance.
Yeah. Destroyed about a
density.
fourth of the Allies' army. Pretty... It okay.
Sufficient. Satisfactory.
It's alright.
Army of the Republic takes a year off, killing millions. Yeah, battle tanks will be around from time to time. I don't think their armor does much against air attack, though. Like, we know what that vehicle is. We could go into the theory chamber and discuss what it's about. Yeah, minor battle tank. Looking at just one of these. No air attack at all built into it. And no air defense rating, just in general, so, So it just gets to use regular defense against aircraft, somehow? Weird.
I guess it points the guns up.
Well, no, it has no air attack. It can't deal damage back to the plane.
I guess it tries to shoot down their bullets?
I think bombers just get to unilaterally launch their attacks against them. So part of to sit here 1,000 years into the campaign and actually stop a moment to talk about mechanics while we wait for these two provinces to yield to our unrelenting assault. So part of how the mechanics work here is attack numbers like these. That is how many shots the unit is firing each round of combat. And the defense numbers are how many shots the unit can receive efficiently. Every shot will still deal some damage to whatever it lands on, but until you have exceeded a unit's defense, the damage is minimal. Once you start receiving more firepower inbound than you have defense to absorb it, that's when casualties start to go wild. And so, for example, that's a great part of why our units are able to still make progress without any heavy weapons, but endure very well. Just a pure block of infantry like this has nearly 500 defense. It takes a lot of weaponry to overwhelm them. They're very good at getting stuck in somewhere and continuing to fight. As long as they're protecting themselves. On the attack, they have to use their breakthrough rating instead, which is fuck all. Over here, only 70 breakthrough, so they're very fragile when charging. But when they're just standing around on the line, unshakable. They also have a lot of HP and a lot of org, which are the numbers that actually receive the damage, and HP damage translates into manpower and equipment damage based on cost versus health amount. Although again, having poor breakthrough is not completely it's not a bad thing for us because, oh, we take a bunch of snapback damage in response. That's what the number is for. And also what our doctrine is for. Our soldiers are very good at recovering from getting shot at. They quickly bounce back and are in fighting order. Yeah, we can find an example of, it's quiet out there. For the moment, any counterattacks going on? Anywhere? Anywhere? Hello! Over here. These Italians are trying to land in that port. You can glance over here and see that each of these folks inbound has like 40, 50, 60 attack, after all the many penalties that get slapped on them for doing a naval invasion. Whereas even our tiny garrison troops have 250 defense. So, when they're just squaring off one for one, our boys are unbreakable. But if these guys had numbers advantage and all of their attacks were landing on a single garrison, they'd be able to overwhelm its defense and start doing real damage, even though individually they are quite weak in this situation. And meanwhile, in response, they have 30-ish breakthrough right now, and our garrison troopers have 25 soft attack. So we're able to do reasonable damage in response. Anytime two of our units agree on who they're shooting at, real damage occurs. So the question arising about the division template, I have stayed at 20 combat width for flexibility. I could get even more power into a single token by taking this up to a size 40. But we'd then be using fewer tokens for the amount of men that we have, and then we wouldn't be as capable of spreading out on short notice to cover a wide area. You see, I have the industry to add engineers to our infantry. You're new here. We have the industry to add infantry to our infantry. Besides, engineering is a precision work. It should be done in the comfort of an office. Somewhere where you have time to think, to calculate, to strategize. Any engineering work done in the field with just a hatchet and a wrench, that would be some sort of strange, boorish construct. Something crude, something fleeting. All of our combat engineering is made to endure for 1,000 years. Anything small enough to be improvised on short notice is simple enough that we can just teach the general infantry to do it with their standard tools. If we're really serious about a defensive position, we will send concrete. You have a knife, you have a gun, you have friends. Your complete fighting toolkit. That and the Air Force. The most powerful weapon any of our infantry have is a flare gun and a radio. By the 60s, maybe not even the flare gun? They'd probably have some fancier ways to paint targets. Or also with the sheer density of soldiers and aircraft involved here, you maybe don't need to paint a target. There's enough active combat patrols. Nearly got him. Got him.
是的，长官。有何指示？
And yes, now that we've stepped forward and are on the defensive. Since also, the numbers I was looking at earlier there, that's the base numbers before all manner of modifiers kick in. Like terrain, command skill, unit experience, the fact that we're in a friendly air zone. So that actually, in practice, our soldiers have more like 600 to 800 defense. Depending on how well that particular unit is feeling. And are brandishing 150 attack at whoever comes at them. Since also our opposition, even with their heavy weaponry, infantry just have terrible breakthrough in general. You can mitigate that a bit with heavy weapons, you never remove it. It is their weakness. Advancing will cost lives. Armor is what gives you decent breakthrough. And there's only so many tanks out there. And they have a habit of drowning in meat every time they try to move against us. Or, you know, being exploded by bombers. Armed with meat.
Of course. And as we enter in August, we're man neutral for having done these attacks. Ah, that is a city, so they do have non-zero supply here. That won't stop us, though. Non-zero supply is still near zero. Especially for this many units. Even a 10-point city isn't going to save them there.
Alright. Yeah, here we go. Here's closer to peak performance from some of our units. From our most experienced troops. Under one of our better generals in defensive terrain. On a good day. On a nice, bright, shiny morning. 1,500 defense. Invincible. Whereas the enemy's better armed infantry get into like 300 or 400 attack. And the ratios like that are the fundamentals of how you survive on the defense against a larger military. It's how this campaign has functioned since all the way back in the opening fighting around Berlin, Beijing. Look, our mind has been elsewhere at the moment.
Bailing.
Bailing.
Yeah.
Berlin was as far ago at this point.
Berlin is extremely China.
This is known.
Absolutely.
Also on the mind, since the other half of that was the last Hearts campaign of the neutrals. All the fighting that occurred slightly uphill in Czechoslovakia and in the Alps. Similar deal.
What happens when you do combat in the Alps?
Attacking is expensive. You do everything you can to make that so expensive that the enemy cannot afford to break through. Attacks only succeed when either you find the leverage you need, gain the advantage, or you're willing to pay the price. We are willing to pay the price. We're perhaps uniquely suited to paying prices. Unparalleled in our ability to cover debts. Alright, I can take that down to background levels. Is cavalry keeping up? I've actually seen people float the idea of... Nice. Nice. Float the idea of using how suicidally aggressive garrison orders can be as an attack method. You take a bunch of fast units and tell them to garrison hostile territory, and they will just slam themselves into every gap they can find and insinuate themselves into the enemy lines. If you did it with things good at fighting, it could be reasonably effective. Alright, so with that success... a cool off for the year. And then, the next operational goal is Hungary. Hungary, probably in the process, defeat the rest of Czechoslovakia, and then that will let us make contact with the Austrians and split the front again. Today they have brought enough firepower to a location. Concentrating enough gun here that they can do real damage. And in response to that, you start cycling. Move units out of the way, bring fresh bodies in to replace them. And all the while the Air Force shows up and does Air Force things. As enemy numbers thin and we start to regain control of the skies, the opportunity for airborne shenanigans returns. Get the paras out of storage and get them ready to do something. Be determined. Well, let's see, if I've rebuilt the transport wings... Well, from up here I can tell that yes, we have 700 active transport aircraft. That is the full portfolio for the Airborne Army. Find out where they are. Alright, good. These have successfully bled out. And we're starting to run down the old back catalog of prop fighters. We've had those doing filler work.
移动。
It should be no surprise that things are going this well, this far in. We have managed to successfully unearth and translate Estonia's secret fighting manuals.
Absolutely. Yeah, at this point we have learned their techniques and we have added them to our own, and now we've both achieved the most powerful state of having mastered Estonia's technique, and we have all of our traditional techniques as well. We are ready for anything.
Estonia, which we have determined was a lost colony of China.
Yeah, absolutely.
Proven by archaeological facts. So getting a German surrender is probably mostly Frankfurt. And then once we're through Germany, the Low Countries are a speed bump. Belgium is tapped out and they're only at all adults. Come on, Belgium. What are you doing? Are you even trying? Neither of them have gone full barrel.
Incredible.
Also, Netherlands, what happened between us? We saved your ass! 20 years ago, during the incident. More like 25? So ages ago, when this was a more sensible looking war, Japan, while being rolled back by us, attacked the Dutch to take the East Indies. And we saved the Dutch by defeating Japan. Since then, they've betrayed us. Or rather, the true Netherlands never betrayed us and lives on in exile. That we successfully depose these usurpers. Yeah, I want to break through here, reach Austria, and then I can shorten this front by having them press forward, towards Nuremberg. Man supply will be pretty good once we're through with that. And I have spare armies that I could reassign. Yeah, these extra West Group soldiers that would overburden the supplies in the southern pocket, they can come over here and form the South Line and be involved with the ongoing Balkan campaign. However much of it is needed. A bunch of them set up in Poland, ready to move.
是的，长官。
The Marines can help with that as well. There are several rivers to deal with. Our numbers can only improve. Theirs can only dwindle. Nice. Auspicious.
Incredible.
The reserved number. Yeah, Iraq still exists. We never advanced into Iraq. That was left alone. "400 Liberians have died fighting." Liberia actually joined the war. The whole 2 divisions. Admirable spirit.
集合！准备移动！ 来吧，开始行动！
See if we can find any of the battle reports from... Yeah, this is probably one of them. There's a sampler of a day's fighting over here in Niederschleichen. Attacking is expensive. For each of ours lost a dozen of theirs. And this is the most combat effective that the Allies have been in a while. Right, Sweden has started to pour substantial numbers of soldiers into Denmark. They are building up there. The Swede. Finally, making his move.
After 10,000 years, they're finally making their move, proving to us once in a wall. Once and a wall.
Once in a wall.
Once
Once
and
in a
for all.
way.
Once in a while. That we were right to never trust them.
Austria, we will protect you. Stay safe over there, Austria. Our 62 atoms are ready.
Yes.
Also, these attacks. Let's see. Spaniards, Germans, Czechoslovakian units were participating a moment ago. How is Spanish manpower? All adults serve less than 1 million. Yeah, this is heavily fortified on their side as well. What if we just ignore it? What if we continue to go around? The Marines to join in on the west line. We have some large rivers to cross. They'll find work. Might be nice to achieve some kind of breakout in the south.
准备，
There's plenty of air power assigned to them. Be able to accomplish something.
是的，长官。
Beep.
集合，准备。
Like, leaving them this fort line seems to be emboldening the enemy to launch counterattacks. But that's a good thing that gets them to squander their men.
立正，注意，有何指示？准备完毕，长官。准备完毕，长官。准备移动。 是的，长官。准备完毕，长官。随着，注意，准备移动。准备。 有何指示？有何指示？出发！
We have had no chance to sneak that extra fortress in there. This is the one known soft spot that the enemy will relentlessly slam into. And for some reason the local AI gave up on reinforcing. Let's correct that.
准备，
Push them back off of my hill.
保持距离。命令。准备。命令。继续移动。随着。 出发！命令！是的，长官。随着，准备完毕，长官。准备完毕，长官。 准备完毕，长官。来吧！
highly auspicious Adams. We live in interesting times.
Why? Extremely interesting. One day we'll return to our banal times.
When the
But the
world is
entire
ready.
world will.
There will be peace for everyone once we have finished all of the fighting which can occur.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Tristan, fall down. You don't need to be here, Dresden. Your work is over. You can rest easy. Thought has risen to consider. What if? What does this represent? $790,000 manpower. To add 1 to all of our units to take us to 20.8 width. Yeah, you know, 59,000 points of rifle, but that's nothing.
Yeah,
That's free.
absolutely.
I might do that after another year of campaigning. We have man surplus that would support that.
Sure. Yeah, why not? Go for it.
Next time we reach 1 million, that'll be the cue.
Mm-hmm.
有何指示？准备，后退。
I'm out of things to construct. It's so weird. We built everything.
有何指示？有何指示？准备完毕，长官。
These repair jobs that don't have factories on them, that's because that's something that's being fought over right now. So repairs cannot be conducted. You cannot do construction or repair in the middle of a battlefield.
准备完毕，长官。准备完毕，长官。 准 续前进。停下，准备。列车，出发。撤退。
And we're back up that hill.有何指示？注意！准备移动。集合！让他们尝尝厉害！ Favorable orb. And an apt description.
是的，长官。
Battle apathy is a widely documented phenomenon.
集合！准备移动。
Now that we've managed to spend an entire generational cycle in constant warfare, folks just kind of over it. War is normal.
Yeah.
Why would you ever not fight?
There are adults who have grown up knowing only of war. Plenty of them at this point.
Yes.
There's an entire there are actually multiple generations of people at this point who have only known war. There's at least 2.
At this point, probably a large portion of our society's functionality is, like, just infused with the war machine. It's fully integrated.
Yeah.
It would be harder to stop fighting than to continue.
Absolutely.
Why don't you guys have any air support? Oh, because there's no, like, unit assigned to your formation. Let's create you some birds. Oh, I know, you do have planes assigned to you. So where are they? Why are they hanging out in the wrong zone? I think if I start, like, keeping my attention over there and micromanaging attacks on that front, we could start making advances from the south. President is acting pretty resolute. Yeah, I may let them slide for the moment. There we go. Start applying pressure. You don't have permanent planes assigned to you. Let's fix that as well then. Find somewhere we can use as a canvas to create more air wings.
76 atoms.
76 atoms.
When are we going to combine any of these atoms to create larger, superior atoms?
That does seem like it would be the more impressive action.
Yeah, like some kind of nuclear, you know, melding. Whatever that would be called.
Combinating.
Yeah.
Crunching.
Nuclear squashing? No. That implies you have to be squashing together. Nuclear kneading. Now we're talking. Making us some nuclear bread.
The dough of the atom.
Absolutely. You don't want to overwork it or the electrons just go crazy and you develop a lot of nuclear gluten.
Use only gluten-free atoms.
Yes. If you want your atom to be nice and flaky, then you want to make sure to work the butter into the atom cold.
Wise words.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the one-off explanation for why the Southern Front has been more kind of jammed into the mud. I haven't assigned them nearly as many planes. Now we fix that.
Beep.
So the thing that's waiting in the next expansion to probably help bring a lot of this nonsense under control is that fuel is going to resume being a thing that exists. A resource you stockpile and expend to do vehicle things. Oh, we've actually, once again, the manpower cost of making air units, that sneaks up on you when you're deploying terribly unreasonable numbers of planes.
Oh. Huh. Only 11,000 people in reserve.
I spent hundreds of thousands of soldiers overnight on air crew.
Right. Makes sense.
Just air crew.
是的，长官。
Alright, so what do I skim to refill that? Or I could just roll back some of those air wings. They don't all need to exist yet. Not all at once. Or rein in some of these. Disband these entirely. You know, that's something I can do. I don't need the legacy fighters out there anymore. Or the legacy bombers. Those can all be shut down. There are over 5 million people in our Air Force. The orb is the cleanest burning fuel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, here we go. This is freeing up plenty of bodies.
Beep.
Quickly sneak in a little air security wing here. And then, yeah, we have a lot of legacy fighters that were rolled out to help win the battle. Go ahead and roll back all of those. The air crew really adds up when you take air wings to full size. Anyway, that's also enough of the stock rebuild that I can allow time to move again. And that is all of them? Yes. Our combat air force is now completely jets. Except for the naval planes. Hiding out on their various ships. And the couple sets of naval planes that were driven into exile when their ships were destroyed. Acted on.
准备移动。有指示。遭到攻击。
Overall kill board, clean 45 to 91 million. Doing alright.
是的，长官。准备移动。出发！开车！ 准备完毕，长官。准备移动。准备移动。
Yeah, we can trust North Theater to hold out for itself pretty well. They're plenty resilient. Let's try to move this line. Or yes. Lending them more air support. That's what was missing. Properly reassigning several planes to work with them. Also, speaking of, we have these that were running naval strikes, of all things. I don't think we need to boat hunt anymore. Since we know that boats are fake. And get a bunch of those left over from that grand air battle to slide forward. Join the main event.
准备。认真。出发。准备完毕，长官。
Oh, hello there. Who did this?
Someone did that.
Who did that? Where did they go?
How though?
They're right here and we have all this radar coverage. We'd know. Did they leave? Did someone
Boats?
drop in, seize Varna, and then run?
Did a boats happen? A secret boats?
There's no one here. Who did this?
Ghosts.
Ghost Army.
Accosted by ghosts.
Fearsome.
有何指示？是的，长官。集合！
Yes, this reserve army will want to guard the ports. To keep the ghosts off our back as we advance. Ghost Army. Also, a fair point raised. With how many people have died everywhere for generations, yeah, most of the world is probably more haunted than OTL.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We've created a lot of very specific kinds of ghost. Lines are stable. Lines are stable. An upside of having a couple of different armies stacked in the same location like this is it gives me an easy UI hook for splitting up the units in the individual provinces to go places.
准备移动。集合！命令！
That's an important part of how you get leverage in the individual attacks, is getting those multi-direction bonuses. Looking for opportunities to focus fire on specific points.
准备移动。
Now, naturally, if this is a large enough concern, this will lead to the Munitions Bureau approving designs for a conversion kit from a Type 88 rifle to some manner of exorcism implement.
有何指示？
Some sort of add-on for ghost busting. Most ritual tools can probably be fitted with a bayonet lug. And the rest
Oh, yeah,
follows from
definitely.
there.
Or you could just affix a blade to most of them.
有何指示？
You know, the little paper tassel sticks. That could be a paper tassel spear. Why not, right?
What if we just carve the relevant passages directly into the woodwork?
What if we just attached them
Get the
to
right prayers just on a stamp at the factory, and that can just be
Yeah.
part of the serial marking.
Yeah. The gun shoots helpful bullets.
Helpful bullets. Sacred bullets.
Absolutely.
This would also preempt any attempts by the Allies to weaponize their dead against us, as they have them in such abundant supply. There is a corpse
Yeah.
gap here. We cannot allow ourselves to be outnumbered.
Yeah, therefore, we have to make sure to send as many people to their deaths as possible, while still providing for more soldiers.
Yes.
命令。
We are not dying enough.
We have consulted the ghost voters, and they approve of this plan by an overwhelming majority. Phantom votes.
有何指示？出发！准备！准备移动！准备！ Beep.
There we go. That bit of recruitment is complete.
3.
On a small scale here, we want to slowly... Well, even not that slowly. There's 2 more targets left with which to envelop Bucharest. And that will cause havoc for enemy supplies.
命令！出发！
It's right there.
准备移动！出发！ 准
And the Allied lines remain mostly overpopulated. So whenever they're allowed to dig in, that still works in our favor. Since the AI overcommits. If this much industry were in the hands of some sort of human who had a sensible grip of how to economically run a defense line, we would not be able to make any progress. I would be forced to use large weapons.
Thankfully, it's basically true in real life as well. Gotta be good at it, and I mean, there was no guarantee that anyone was gonna be.
It was a commonly reoccurring thing of an army, of military traditions across a lot of cultures, you know, get into bravado and glory and grandeur, which paperwork is not.
Mm-hmm.
The many times that the sensible move in a war has been, no, just wait. It's fine. Don't do anything. We've got this. We're only slightly overburdened up here at the moment. On the supply grid. We've not seized control of the state yet. It has underdeveloped and heavily damaged infrastructure. So we need to make this official so we can fix up the roads. Difficult. It's, well, no, this state specifically is just on the coast. And then... Or no, this is all one big one. It's a pretty weighty state. People want to land, a lot of points in it. A lot of spread out points. And since we've not been using any pressure on this line for a while, everyone here has had time to recover to the best of their ability. Recover, equip, dig in. We haven't applied pressure, and they haven't applied counter pressure, so it's been very quiet. Plenty of meat to fight through for the opening assaults. Taking Bucharest should do it. Which we can do economically by surrounding and besieging it.
Economical sieges. Don't you just love them?
The city will fall, eventually. Just give it a minute. What about Greece? Probably that waits until we've gone around the other way. This corridor is a fortified mountain across a river. It's not great. We could power through it with a lot of weight of then, or we could just wait until we're going from the other side where it's just mountains. Not even fortified mountains, and with some low spots we can slip through. Thessalonia here. It's a weak point in Greece's natural fortifications. A paradrop could let us be very rude to this pocket of soldiers. We have a lot of opportunities for paradrop maneuvers. We don't need to leap at all of them. We have time. Alright, progress. Greece can wait until the mechanics decide to spontaneously promote Greece to major power and make themselves a mandatory target. Until then, they're fine. But I think this should stand as a fine piece of evidence for how much more stable the game has gotten under the hood over time. The Cape Commune's Forever War just sort of crashed in the mid-50s. And then the Neutral War, did that one start crashing by the end? Maybe. That campaign may have ended on just declaring moral victory and taking it as a given. Because the Neutrals did manage to defeat the British. But here we are in the 60s with no sign of stopping. Things are as stable now as they ever were. You know, at 10,000% world tension.
Yeah. That's normal and natural.
We need to create 0.3% world tension. But how? Who do we insult?
What's going on in South America?
What's going on in South America? Hey, Paraguay!
Paraguay! Shut up!
I'm watching you.
I see you looking at me.
I don't think we
thinking
have...
like, you know me.
We don't have an insult button, really, in our diplomatic list.
I mean, why would you? Why would you arbitrarily insult someone?
Who would do that? Who would do that to Argentina out of the blue? Why would we just hit the Peruvian ambassador with a steel chair? On national television. Actually, on that note, yeah, a lot of South America has gotten, like, its actual portraits for its rulers since release. South America, way back in base game, mostly was using generic portraits. And so you would see a lot of used car salesmen running various Latin republics.
Makes sense.
You would see the same used car salesman running 5 republics. Alright, Bucharest has fallen. And yes, also makes sense.
Yeah.
Alright, that's control of that state. We can build the roads up. Already has maximum AA, already has maximum radar, already has a full-size airport. There's nothing left to build. We built everything. Construction is over. Construction is cancelled. Alright, we're over the initial speed bump out here on the southern front. Now we can start making advances.
是的，长官。注意！
When our opposition is able to fully equip itself with all its fancy heavy weaponry, they are quite resolute. But we can wear them down. And what does that do to Romanian surrender progress? A lot. That was most of Romania's will to fight. In a single move. Where are your other cities? Point in Moldova. 5 points in North Transylvania. One point in Crisana. And 1 point in core Transylvania. That'll mostly be a matter of just continuing to advance over their territory. They don't have many hotspots left. Supplies remain slightly overburdened. Once we're a bit further in, there will probably be enough depth for us to work with that we can, yeah, reverse this thought. Of having the rest of West Group push in from the north. We can start to bring these units back around. The further concern there is that to get in here, they do have to cross the sea. Where any enemy boats exist. It might still be preferable to have them break through and walk. What we have committed here is enough bodies to do the job.
是的，长官。是的，长官。 何指示？命令！出发！是的，长官。命令！
The Turks would give us military access. And that would solve it then, because we could just walk across the strait. Weird. Although now we've once again created the Phantom Zone. The cursed existence of a neutral party that offers access to two opposing forces. The last time this happened, it created a lot of anomalous behavior. Of like, if one of our armies just traveling through Turkey meets an allied army that is also peacefully traveling through Turkey, they will fight. They will try to fight, but not be able to. They will be caught in a strange state of living death.
That makes sense.
A great, terrifying degree of sense. Yeah, so for now, get all of you back out here. And then we'll move you over as time allows.
是的，长官。是的，长官。
For the time being, I just want a few more steps of progress.
集合！
Try to at least make contact with the river. Yeah, there we go. This and this. And this. Succeed on those 3 points and that'll be fine for the fall.
集合！出发！ 集
And situation of north remains stable. No breakthroughs, no beachheads. Just a usual day. Millions dead.
As is proper.
准备完毕，长官。
Today the sun rose, killing millions.
Can't trust that sun. One of these days it's gonna do something. I promise.
瞄准。
We will be ready to defeat the sun. Alright, that's all three of those holdout targets. Once more we settle in. We winter. Gives us a chance to fix up the local roads.
I mean, everyone knows they need them, for certain.
Hard to think there are still corners of the world that don't yet live at this standard.
It's true.
Every aspect of their life perfectly streamlined for production and delivery of ammunition.
I mean, they could be, with just a little bit of effort. They could automate the whole thing.
Just a little planning.
Agreed.
So our next round of attacks will be from Southwise. Because then if we can finish punching through here and have West-South group erupt out into the Balkans, that nicely covers the division of labor that we need going west. We have an entire army group covering this and an entire army group shifting over to cover this. North group is holding up fine, but I'm pretty sure they are at their limit. If I extended that line any further, it would start to cause problems. And now, having looked at it again during this session, I think saving up for and then implementing slightly larger main division, that'll have plenty of payoff. Ukraine currently wouldn't give us access, but from only a mild reluctance, created by absolute terror from how much world tension we generate. If we talk things over with Ukraine, we might get them to open their borders.
Ukraine, come on. Come on. Ukraine, come on.
Yugoslavia is barreled, and the barrel is empty. Okay, Albania is under the control of the UK. That is why I clicked over Albania, expecting to see nothing, or that they weren't involved, but the British barrel, which still has numbers in it. Italian barrel is empty. French barrel is empty. German barrel still holding on.
Impressive.
Belgium is barreled and empty. The Netherlands are empty, but only at adults. You still have children. Come on. Czechoslovakia, barreled and empty. Remind, we, for a moment during the session, got a bit winded by creating too many air wings at once. That's the worst our manpower situation has been. Meanwhile, the Allies... The number of Allied powers that are just empty and running on fumes is increasing. Spain with 500,000 in the barrel. Most of the Allied armies rely on throwing children, and I would say elders, but they definitely don't have any elders left after 40 years of total war.
They would
No
have
one lives that long. They depleted their
Right.
elders ages ago. Yeah, elections. Temporary setback on stability for long-term gain. And just go ahead and apply the usual pressures to restore full blue. A momentary disruption, nothing more. Small naval invasion. Doesn't have a port. Doesn't exist.
Move 正在撤退，长官。是的，长官。遭到攻击！遭到攻击！
Every so often you need to let the airborne go out for a jog. Who are you? Like, this tooltip is saying German Republic, but I think that's because it's like an expeditionary unit, like a volunteer group. 'Cause that's not the German flag. Serving volunteers from people? Yes. From Luxembourg! Luxembourg, which is barreled and empty. And is fielding one division. That one division. The entire army of Luxembourg. There it is.
Luxembourg endures.
the soldier from Luxembourg. There they are. "95 atoms. And slowly but surely, occupied territory manpower reaping its way in there. That is now 1.1 million per year.
%85 stability. Huh.
Folks are mostly okay with this.
Yeah. I mean, war support, obviously, 100%, always.
Everyone
Everyone's
is down for fighting.
Yeah.
Some are
absolutely.
concerned about, water.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I get. That's understandable.
There's a lot of argument about what should be in food rations for the general populace. Concerns about traffic. About
We've eaten
bus
all
schedules.
of the rice in the world at this point. So, yeah. We're making our way through wheat. And we're probably just going to be left with the other grains soon. It'll be wild when we start having to doing corn only. Those corn rations.
Hmm. An army fueled by corn.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do a little bit
准备，
of fighting in the fall. Take some opportunities to put more pressure on German units, of which there are many down here on the southern front. It would be nice to empty their barrel.
是的，长官。有何指示？注意！你好。让
Where also, from the fact that they still have manpower, but we can see persistent understrength units, they're out of gear. They're having trouble replacing their weapons. We managed to beat most of their industry out of them. And destroy a lot of their weaponry in the process. Brazil, how many soldiers do you have? You've only broken out the whip and have millions left to go there. Understandable. And Mexico? Everyone serves, couple million to go. Canada, empty. Empty at extensive, and that's just as good as they can get. Canada is empty. Denmark, very empty. Norway, there's some residue in their barrel. Likewise, Sweden. Surrounded on all sides by paper armies.
准备移动。 集合。
Alright, yeah, we can relax. Wait out the winter. Recharge the batteries. The Phantom armies still protect the homeland. As always. Germany has taken the top of the casualty board, surpassing Britain and France, who in turn surpassed Russia, although that's not fair to Russia since they ceased to exist a while ago. Italy, surprisingly up there.
Impressive.
What's Australian manpower look like? Barrel, 250,000. And New Zealand, barrel, empty. Barrel, tens of thousands. The Dutch East Indies technically still exist because I never bothered invading the rest of the islands. They're harmless, though. Oh, and importantly, how's the RAF looking? At most 14,000 birds.
Which is pitiful compared
Yes.
to our
That's
tremendous number
depleted.
of birds.
I think
Yeah.
that's equilibrium point where the limits of the air combat mechanics mean that it's not possible to kill enough of their planes to flip that scale.
Right.
unless they commit all of them to a single spot. But the important factor there is that many planes can't deal enough damage to my Air Force to keep up with our air industry. So to revisit that again. Oh, I was reading the wrong number when I looked at this earlier. 594 Kilomen for the upgrade. So we almost have that now. So we'll be able to make that adjustment in the spring and still have change to pay for more attacks.
Seems right.
The logistics of ghost voting is votes of the dead passed to their next of kin. Of which, unlike certain wild, barbarous lands who've desperately thrown their nation's squandered youth into the furnace, a percentage of all families is still at home, working normally. Our soldiers have descendants to replace them. You presumably, upon going through the necessary, registration and day-to-day mundane processing for going into a voting booth, just get more than one sheet of paper to throw in there. It would be noted in voter registries that you have ghost votes in your possession. This would be integrated with the logistics in place to allow active combat personnel to vote in elections from the field. Since each soldier would either be sending home their vote or their ghost vote on their coffin. Alright, there's the requisite manpower. Take the plunge. It's also going to increase the supply cost of these units. Okay, barely at all. Tiny incremental bit. That should be fine. That won't stress supplies anywhere that wasn't already thin. And we'll get to watch those ship off as reinforcements. We still get to put 2 units into a fight. At basic width. The one that goes over the line suffers a small penalty. So that extra 0.8 combat width is there for a rainy day. It's not a hard limit like in Europa or Vicky because a division can be of such fluid size that it really would not sensibly work out at all if you cut things too coarsely. Very easy for a human player to design their units to contrive to always have even multiples of 10 to cleanly fit things together. But think of the robots. The robots would never manage that. Like, look, here's a size 8. Well, there's a clean size 20. But yeah, there's a lot of variable combat widths. Or like also if you were using especially small police or garrison units. Keeps things flexible. Here's a size 27 unit. What is that for? Who is that for? Wonder what's even in a 27 width infantry division. Anyway, another month rolls around. More spring arrives. $12.8 million soldiers of the Republic against a diminishing number of Allied soldiers. Kill board 46 to 95. Spring of 1965. Still, we have reserves.